Well, hey, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. Welcome in. Oh, my gosh. I did not have a bad glitch just then. Okay, so this is wonderful. We're getting off to a great start today. Thank you guys so much for being here. I see my chat already is super hopping. Thank y'all so much for all your support. And thank you to my moderators who are already here in that chat. I love you guys. I have a fantastic show for us today. I have Mike of Red Creek Mafia on YouTube here, and he's got a great story about his first time having a Sasquatch encounter. It was terrifying to him, and he got an up close and personal view of this Sasquatch. So we're going to talk about that today. All right. If anyone would like to follow along with all of my shows and things that I'm doing, you guys can go find me at thecryptidhuntress.com. That's down there on the ticker, thecryptidhuntress.com. I have, my public speaking events and things like that will all be listed there on that website. Also, I have a Patreon. If anyone would like to become a member of my Patreon, it's a great way to support the channel and all my work and what I do here, especially for my remote viewing shows that I do every Thursday night, which I have a great one tomorrow night. My buddy Sean Bond from Psionic League on YouTube is going to be my special guest tomorrow. He's also a remote viewer, so that's going to be a great show. Also, I do have a shop. It's called War Woman Goods, and I want to thank everybody who has bought jewelry from me. It means the world to me. You guys are the best. Okay. All right. Well, also another piece of business, is I have been recently interviewed on several different shows, and I wanted to give a little rundown so you guys can go check those out. I'm going to have those posted on my social media accounts. I was the guest at Dylan Monroe's show. It's called The New Templars. I was on his show last night. Y'all go check that out. That was a fantastic show. I did an update on the Montauk trip with him, and he, for y'all who don't know, he created the Deep State Mapping Project. He does all those maps that you see all online. So yeah, y'all go check that out, like the Q map and stuff like that. Also, I'm on our Keem Ross show tonight. That's disclosure now at 6 p.m. He's premiering that show that we did. We talk about Sasquatch and some of the experiences that he's had. And then I got Let's Get Freaky podcast. That's tomorrow. That's coming out live and direct. Y'all check that out. That's our buddy Tommy over there. Okay. Well, let's get to our guest today because we have a lot to unpack with Mike's story. Okay. So Mike is with Red Creek Mafia. That's on YouTube. You guys, please go subscribe. He had a terrifying Sasquatch encounter while hunting deer in Mississippi in December of 2020, which is pretty recent. So please help me welcome to the show today, Mike.
What's up, Earthlings?
Earthlings.
Nothing
hey,
much.
What's up,
How
Mike?
are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Yeah, I'm doing so good. It's so nice to meet you. And I know I've been in your chats a couple times, several times, because you have fantastic guests over there on your show. I'm almost a little jealous, man. It's not that I don't have great guests. I have amazing guests. But yeah, you've had a couple that I have not had on my show yet so far.
Well, we're friends now. With friends help each other out, and I can send a few your way.
And I'll send a few your way. How about that?
Absolutely. Sounds like even trade.
Sounds like a plan. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I wanted to, I know you and I were talking about the hurricane that hit Florida today, and I didn't realize it hit right where I grew up as a kid, vacationing. So we sent our love and our prayers out to everybody that's affected by that hurricane down in Florida today and in South Georgia. We're thinking about you guys. And so I just wanted to recognize that today. I know they're going through a lot right now.
I'm looking at your chat
Mhm.
right now, and there's some people. I just want to tell you how the name came about. The Red Creek Mafia name came about. When I was
Okay.
young, when I was young, like not an adolescent, but late teens, we had a hunting club. It was like 5 of us, and it was in Red Creek management area. So we was Red Creek Mafia, and the name just stuck.
I love it. Yeah, I have a little birdie told me before the show that there will be a lot of mafia references in our chat today. So I
Yeah,
think y'all know
yeah.
who it is. I think he might be
Oh
on the
yeah.
screen right now, as a matter of fact. So yeah, shout out to Long Island Bigfoot. He's always keeping me laughing. He's awesome. So yeah, he's gonna make it offer you can't refuse. I say that in my
Yep.
New York accent in my head. Yeah. Well,
You, you,
okay. Well,
you know I'm
you,
I'm bringing his butt
go
to
ahead.
South Mississippi, right?
I heard. Yeah, I did hear
Yep.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
be sure that you guys have a translator. Okay, he and I had a language barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a little language barrier, but it was all fun. We joke around about that. It wasn't that bad.
Nah.
But yeah, that's great. I mean, you and I are Southerners. You know, I'm in Georgia. You're in Mississippi. We have a lot of Sasquatch activity down here in the South, and
Mm-hmm.
you are a testament to that. And I've heard your story, and it's a nail biter, and it's actually quite terrifying, Mike. And I was wondering if you could kind of tell us about that today. Like, tell me what led up to it, and kind of what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was December 16th of 2020. Uh Slap dead in the middle of hunting season. To paint a picture, South Mississippi, the way the hunting seasons go, it starts off archery season, and then your first dog season comes in. And what I mean by dog, you're not hunting dogs. They actually use dogs down here to hunt deer. And I'm not a fan of that.
Oh,
Never have been.
interesting.
Yeah. Um, it's very dangerous, a lot of outlaws and stuff like that, a lot of drinking and dope smoking and stuff like that. It's just not my thing. So when these seasons come in, I
Right.
would always go. I'm getting some kind of pickup.
Can you hear something? I've got my fan on. So,
Yeah, yeah, I can hear your fan.
can you hear it? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to mute my mic when you talk.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah, that was coming in. That there's two of them. One lasts for about 2 weeks, and then the last one like takes up the whole month of December. And when they have these dog seasons, you have to get out of town pretty much. You have to go to like a WMA. Red Creek is my closest WMA, but I went further, um, 2 counties up to Perry County to Leaf River Management Area, and that's where I used to go to get away. And it's vast, man. It's out in the middle of nowhere. If you look at Leaf River on Google Earth, there's nothing there. I mean, the closest house is like 30 miles away, north or south. It's a long way. So yeah, that's what I was doing that particular day, getting away from dog hunters. And there was this particular spot in there that it was dead in the middle. It was straight across from the game warden station, and the game wardens in there are very strict. Like if you're a felon with a firearm, you're going to
Oh, yeah.
jail. Stuff like
Oh,
that.
you got to watch out for those. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So, anyways, I used to hunt this ryegrass field. It was Jessica. It was huge. It was like 200 yards wide and about 1,000 yards long, and it had these power lines running adjacent to it, that ran north and south. And, you know, a lot of hunters would set up on that field, and deer in Mississippi are very smart. They're very skittish and very smart because of the hunting pressure. Um, a lot of people will hunt, right on these fields, and they never have any luck because these deer got it figured out. When it gets dark, there's no humans in the woods, so that's when they come out to eat. They're very nocturnal, the deer are, because of the pressure.
Okay.
So, I tried it out a couple times and no luck. So I figured out what to do. um, I would go all the way down to power lines and get behind this field at like a choke point. Um, and I would get up a tree. It was like my favorite tree, favorite pine tree. It was like the perfect tree. You can get up 30 foot, 50 foot, whatever, and you have to get, always got up super high because another thing, South Mississippi's really, really thick, super thick. Uh, so
Oh
thick
yeah.
that every other year they have to burn the woods. They do like a prescribed burn.
Are you a bow
Just kind of
hunter, by the way? Yeah.
I'm everything.
Bow. Okay.
Everything.
Cool.
This was gun
That's
season
awesome.
though.
Okay.
Well, I
Cool.
don't pull a bow back anymore. I use a crossbow.
Okay. That's cool.
Cashew. Anyways, I just see her in the chat. Sorry. Um, so yeah, it was just a normal day. I went out there and I would always get on this choke point, and I had a lot of luck because I would see a lot of deer cross the power lines right before it got dark, setting up to come on that field to eat. It was like an ambush kind of thing. And yeah, it was just a normal day,
Okay.
nothing out the normal. Um, I got up the tree. I always get up pretty early, this time of the year it was getting dark probably around 5:30, pitch black 5:30, 5:40, somewhere around in there. And I always got up my tree super early, like 1 o'clock, that way I, you know, calm the woods down. You walk in and, wait for the woods to calm down
Yeah.
and get wait for your smell to get out of there and stuff like that.
Yeah. Blend
And,
to the environment too. Yeah.
oh yeah. Yep. Yep. So, yeah, there was nothing very strange. I got up the tree and after about an hour, I'm thinking to myself, something's off, there's something different, because it was like not a squirrel in the tree, not a bird chirp, no nothing. Just it was quiet. I mean, the wind, I can remember the wind was hitting me in my face a little bit, so I knew my wind was good. And it was just weird, I'd always at least see something, fox squirrel, a rabbit, or maybe a small little deer, something I'm not gonna shoot. It was just crazy. It was just like nothing. I'm waiting, and at about at about 4:15, I start getting some action behind me. Um, I'm facing west. I'm on the east side of the power line, and I'm facing west. Whatever this is, something's coming in behind me, and it's sounds pretty heavy, whatever it is. And it's it was. I thought it was a big hog at first. That's what I thought it was. Because it wasn't like coming in fast. It was just like crunch, crunch,
On two
crunch.
legs.
Yeah, but I wasn't really paying attention to bipedal back then. I didn't even believe in Bigfoot or nothing like that. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't on my radar. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I've been in these woods all my life. Um, and it finally comes out to the right of me, and gets 30 to 40 yards to my right, and it just stops. And I'm looking for this thing, and I can't see it because whatever it is, it's up under all that undergrowth. They didn't burn it that year. I'm way up over it, looking down at it, but I still can't see what it is. And all of a sudden, it stops, and I start hearing this like heavy breathing, like almost like labored breathing. And the first thing I thought is, maybe this is a deer, or maybe this is a hog that got shot, and this thing's gonna die on the side of me, and maybe that's the lungs filling up in the blood. I mean, the blood filling up in the lungs. Sorry.
I understood what you were saying.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I always get nervous. I always get nervous when I talk about this.
Yeah. I can
So,
understand.
anyways, that went on for like a minute, minute and a half, and that was it. Then it just got dead quiet. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that kind of sucks. I didn't even get the chance to see what it was or anything. So, I came to terms with it. I said it's probably a buck, or a hog, and it probably seen me or winded me, and it just slipped out, and I didn't hear it. One of them kind of things. So I just kind of gave up on that. B Rob, what's up? Anyways, I'm sorry. I know these people, man. I'd like to say hello to them.
I know, and I want to. We got to thank Long Island Bigfoot for that super sticker. Thank you, Mike. And he says, "Thank you for your service, brother." Red Creek Mafia boots on the ground. I got it. Okay. All right, go ahead, Mike. Red Creek Mafia,
Yeah.
Mike.
So, anyways, yeah. So I pretty much just gave up on the situation, and I'm facing west, and it gets to be about 10 to 15 minutes later, and it's that time of the day when the sun is just up over the trees, and now I'm being blinded by the sun. I can't see anything. I got my hat down, and I got my hands trying to look on the power line, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, in my right peripheral, I catch something black on the power line. It's on all fours, and I can't see it too good because of the sun. So
Yeah.
I went to my gun, and I had to. It was weird because this thing was on the right. It was about 150 yards down the power lines on the north end. So I had to finagle my way because and go left-handed to look through my scope, and I'm right-handed, and I couldn't
Okay.
I couldn't find him. It was like it was like weird, trying to find him. And when I finally did, this thing is now sitting down like a person. It looked like just a big gigantic person sitting down, had his knees up, and the first thing I noticed was his left hand was digging in the ground. I don't know if he was digging for bugs or whatever it was, but it was very peculiar to me.
Whoa.
Um, I'm still not thinking Bigfoot. I'm thinking bear, because we do have black bear here. We don't have like a high abundance of them, but we do have them. I've caught them on trail cam before. They usually have like an orange collar on where the state released it, and that's what I
Oh
thought it
wow.
was. Yeah.
But this
The
one didn't
first
have
thing
an
I
orange
know,
collar on it, huh? There's no
no,
orange collar. Yeah.
no, no, not at all. So anything, the first thing I noticed was the hair on its back. It wasn't like it was long, man. It was like it wasn't like fur. It wasn't like the double undercoat of a dog or a bear. It was like hair, like human hair, long, like Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue. Sure enough, hair on its back. I panned up to I panned up to the top of his head, and that's when I started getting freaked out a little bit. It was the hair on the head wasn't long like the hair on the back. It was short and spiky, very very gorilla looking, very 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 gorilla looking. He did have the conical shape of the head, but it wasn't like dramatic. It didn't go up to a point like a football, but it was there. And I started getting freaked
Yeah.
out. I'm thinking, what is this? What's going on? What am I looking at here? Kind of thing. And he turned his head to the left a little bit, and just even the way he turned his head was like robotic. It was like weird. And that's when you know, I got to see the side of his face. His face was pronounced black, like black, black. Like during this whole encounter, the blackest part of his body was his face, no doubt about it.
Wow.
It looked like somebody painted his face like black, like my watch.
Uh
Yeah.
huh. Could you see teeth? Or,
Not then.
okay.
Um, the first thing I seen was a piece of his eye. His eye was solid black too. No whites. No. During this encounter, I didn't see any pupils or anything either. I seen a piece of the nose. I'm looking for a muzzle. I'm thinking bear the whole time. I didn't get a muzzle. I seen side of a hooded nose like ours, much more flared out, more thicker, and I seen a piece of the mouth, and that's pretty much when I lost my cookie, and I yelled at it because I didn't know what it was, and I just said hey to him,
Whoa. I can't believe you yelled at
hey.
it. Yeah.
I didn't. Well, it was just out of pure desperation, just
Yeah.
just the unknown, the unknown. I knew I wasn't going to be able to, stay still because I was shaking out my boots the whole time. And when I did that, this thing all in one motion put its hands on the ground and popped on the two legs like it was nothing. Like it was nothing.
Wow. Wow.
Like
How much do you think this thing weighed?
I would say in between 9 to 1,200 pounds. He
How
looked
tall
like
was it?
he looked like a Brahma bull on two legs. Uh,
Wow.
During this encounter, there was I'm gonna get to it, but there was this dogwood tree that he kept ducking up under. He wasn't like ducking his whole he wasn't moving his whole body, he was just kind of moving his head around it. And when I went back to get my stuff sometime later, that branch was 8 foot easy, and he was just moving his head around it. So he was in between 8 and
Wow.
9 foot. Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty big.
So
That's a big one.
yeah. So he pops up onto 2 feet, and he starts like walking in this funny oval circle, and he's scanning the woods. And he keeps looking south and north down the power lines. He'd look my way. And the second time he looked my way, his eyes got really big. And I'm leaving something out. When he popped onto 2 feet, that's when he screamed the first time. And it's the scream that everybody talks about. The difference between a lion and an elephant, or being like at a rock concert next to a speaker. You can feel the vibration off of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second time, when he looked my way, I guess I gave my position away, and if you ever see like the Patterson Gimlin footage or the Freeman footage, it's always them, walking away. They don't want to be seen. It was reverse. It was reverse of that. He walked straight to me.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
not good.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty chill
So,
right now. Usually I get shook up
yeah.
talking about this, but I'm pretty chill today
Yeah.
for some reason. I
That's
don't know. You
good.
make
Well,
it.
okay,
You.
so you encountered an alpha is what you encountered right there. An alpha Sasquatch, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're the ones that they'll come right at you. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I try to stay clear of those if I can help it.
Yeah, so he starts walking to me, and the motion this thing's making when it's walking to me, it was like, I always tell people it looked like, the way he was swinging his arms, it was almost like he was on a pair of snow skis, or like a elliptical machine, the way he was walking. And when I started seeing that, I looked down at my gun. I had a 7 millimeter Magnum, and I just unbolted the chamber just to make sure I had one in there, that I didn't dumb up, because I was pretty sure I was gonna have to shoot this thing. And I slammed it back shut, and that took no time. We're talking 4 seconds,
Whew.
tops, maybe 5. That's
Yeah.
giving it a lot. And in that amount of time, this thing is now 30 yards in front of me, stopped and looking at me from 150 yards away. Now you explain that to me.
Dang. Yeah,
He
they
covered
move
that much
quick.
distance. Yeah. I,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
couldn't fathom it. When he got to me, I put him back in the scope, and he just looked like a big black blob. So I had to power my scope back down, and that's when I really got to see him really good. The face, the face. He was looking at me, but what I want to tell everybody, I try not to leave this out, is when he was looking at me, it was like this wasn't a stupid animal. This was a thinking being. This, there was thought there, like almost like he didn't know what he was looking at, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, this wasn't no, you know, something stupid out of a zoo, or I don't like to call any animal stupid, but you know what I mean. This was a clear thinking being. Like he was looking at me, and you could tell there was deep thought right there.
Did it have human qualities about it at all? Like any kind of human attributes to its face?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. The, the eyes weren't very human to me. They were more, because I don't know if that's. I've seen pictures, nighttime pictures of Sasquatch face, and you can actually see the pupil and all that. But I couldn't. I don't know if that black is something protective for the daytime. I'm not sure, but it wasn't. It was like he had black marbles in his eyes, for eyes, but they weren't
Mm-hmm.
completely round either. They were more like an almond shape, like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and
Interesting.
Yeah, and I noticed the hands, like the palms of his hands went past his knees a little bit, and his hands were huge. His hands, if you ever have, I'm sure you've seen it. You've been in this field a long time. You know the Yeti hand that they have in the glass case. You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Oh
That
yeah.
that that's accurate of
Mm,
how long their fingers are. But the circumference of the fingers were like small little bananas. They were big. The fingernails were short, jacked up, like he was like somebody that's in heavy construction. Just just
yeah.
just maybe they bite them off. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. I guess they've got to. They don't have nail clippers out there, probably.
No,
That'd be
yeah,
my
probably
guess.
so. Either that or they just work with their hands so much, they don't
They
get
just
time to
break
grow
off.
them.
Well,
Yeah,
could you, okay, I know I asked about if you saw teeth earlier. Could you see its teeth at any point? I'm thinking
yeah.
about biting nails and stuff. So I'm trying to think, like, are they square or did it have canines that came down like some people
Mm-mm.
claim
Nope,
to see?
nope.
Okay.
He did. He did like during this encounter. There was a lot that went on in a short amount of time in this. Um, he did like a yawn. And I've talked to people. They say that primates do that. When they're nervous and stuff, they'll do like a yawn. He could have been just
Uh,
barreling his teeth at me, but it looked more to me like a
yeah.
yawn. And when he did that, that's when I seen his teeth really good. They were like ours. They were white. Actually, his teeth weren't that bad looking, to be honest with you. I didn't see like bad tooth decay and stuff like that. They were. That's why I'm
Yeah.
thinking he might have not been a younger one. Not a juvenile, but you know what I mean, like 22,
Yeah. A young
23-year old
adult.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They were like ours. They were like square, big white square chiclets in his mouth, and I can remember seeing his gums too. His gums were either dark purple or black. Um,
Okay.
going back to the hands, if you look at your fingernail, you know how you have the little white moons in there.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
He had them. He had them,
Wow. You can see it.
and and,
That was so
and
close to you. Gosh.
yeah, the meat in the finger. We the meat around the white moons. It was like
Uh-huh.
the gums. It was like dark purple meat. I can
Yeah.
remember that.
Wow.
Yeah, and every now and then he would like shuffle a certain way that would throw me off, and I would go to draw down on him. And I had the gun on him the whole time. But when I say draw down on him, getting
Wow.
ready like I'm fixing to shoot this thing. And when I did that, he would turn his head to the side, like one eye would be looking at the ground, and one would be looking dead at me. And he was definitely giving me the look like, "Don't you do it. Do not do that."
Yeah.
That's why I think these things know what they are, for sure.
Did it? Okay, Smedley Do Right has a question in the chat. Did it mind speak to you? Did you hear it in a voice, or was it just a projection of energy, kind of like you just knew?
No, I didn't hear mine speak. It
Yeah.
just that look, like
Oh
just
yeah.
a look like I know what that is. You're not going to use that thing. That
The
kind of
boom
thing.
boom stick. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Jessica, that happened probably 4 or 5 times during this encounter. It
How long?
for
How long was your encounter?
From the time I first seen him till the time I got to my truck. Well, just seeing him the whole time, probably about 25 minutes.
Okay,
About 20.
25 minutes is a very long time. That is way long.
It's an eternity.
You that had to have affected you so bad. I had no idea it was that long. I must have missed that part of the story. My goodness. 25
Mm-hmm.
minutes, that is an eternity. I mean, just 2 minutes seems like an hour when you're in
Mm-hmm.
a position like that.
I would
Wow.
have to I would have to say from the time I seen him till the time I got to my truck was probably, give or take, shoot, probably 45, 50 minutes, because I had to get you know, I had to walk a long way to get back.
Did
So,
it chase you
anyways, mm-mm,
when you were leaving?
nope,
I know you'll
but
get
no,
to
but
it, but I was just curious.
he didn't. Another one did. Another one,
Ooh.
another one paralleled me out.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
uh, which I think at the time I didn't know. At the time, I didn't know it was another one. I thought it was like a deer or something running from this thing, doing the same thing I was doing. But it was
Mhm.
another one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
so this is. I'm about to get to the climax. I'm gonna take a little drink of water.
Okay, take your time. Take your time. This is fantastic because we don't hear up close and personal stories every day. I mean, I have one of my best friends. His name's Matthew Delph. He is a Bigfoot field researcher out of Virginia, and he goes out with my team. I see Greg Ogles in here too. He comes out with my team too. What's up, Greg? He's in the chat today. But Matthew has a story similar to yours, but what he saw looked like an orangutan, kind of. But it was
I'd
a
love to
that type of a Bigfoot.
I'd love to hear it. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I'll link you guys up.
oh, absolutely, thank you. I'm looking. I'm looking for people. When I first started doing this, I had like tons and tons. I just had to find time. Now it's like trying to find somebody's like needle in a haystack because you just run out of people, man.
Oh no, you don't. You
When
don't run out of people. You know the right folks that know folks. So, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I've got several research teams that I go out with. So I don't ever have a problem finding people for the shows. But they have great
yeah.
stories. I like bringing people like you on my show, Mike, because you have such a great story to tell, and that's it's something that can help everybody by hearing your story in many ways.
So, I started noticing that the sun is now past the trees and it's going to set. And this thing starts acting like he's getting ants in his pants. He was walking around a little bit and he never would get any closer than like 30 yards, but he never would get any further away either. It was like he was standing on the ground. Um, so, I started thinking to myself, when it gets pitch black dark, he's not going anywhere. This thing's not doing anything. And I can't just get out of my tree. And it's gonna be, and maybe this thing that that's what it's doing. It's waiting for it to get dark, so this thing can jump up here and kill me or shake me out or what, whatever. Um, I think
Yeah.
I seen a question. It says, "So was it male?" I think it was. I don't remember seeing body parts and stuff like that in the genital area. So to answer that question,
Yeah,
I would.
usually the alpha males do what that one did to you, and so I would assume that was a male too.
Hmm. I think so too. So it got to a point where I had to make a choice. A choice I didn't want to make, and I put him back in the scope for the last time, and I drew down on him. And this time he didn't turn his head to the side. He just looked at me like a confused kid. And
Oh
I
my.
put the I, pu- I put the crosshairs right, not right between his eyes, up on his forehead a little bit, and I just kind of just sighed in disbelief, and I went to squeeze off, man, just how I was taught. And I got about halfway through the squeeze and I couldn't do it. Mm-mm, I
Oh my
couldn't do it.
God. Could you not do it because first of all, I know you're a hunter, but it was the human attributes to it had to have been a factor. Was it?
Yeah. Yes. Humanity kicked in. I started thinking,
Yeah.
this has got to be some kind of person. This is we just don't know about this kind of people or whatever this. And I'm pretty sure at the time I knew what it was. I don't remember thinking that, but I couldn't do it, and I got really upset after I couldn't do it. I just kind of put my gun and stood up and put my arms out to him, and I just screamed at him again. I just said, "What do you want?" And, I'm sure there was an F bomb in there. I'm sure
Oh
there was
yeah. Oh yeah.
plenty of profanity. I just don't want to. say it.
Wow.
so
Wow. So
so
how did it react to you when you
y-
screamed?
yeah, that's yeah. Um yeah, he screamed back. And when he did, it's it's I hope you never have to see that, Jessica. At
Oh
least
my God.
the way he did it anyways. It was like a draw up from the gut, and when he turned it loose on me, I'm 30 yards I'm 30 yards away. I'm 90 feet away and just 30 foot up a tree. That's close. It looked like his eyes, his nose, and his mouth just went to one, protruded out about 12 inches from his face, and was just like very distorted looking, like just a bunch of flapping meat is what it looked like. And then when he was done, everything went back to normal. Everything went back to normal on his face. When when I was overseas, when a bomb would go off, okay, it could go off a mile away, and you know you're safe because it's a mile away, but you can still feel the heat off of it. That's the way it felt. It felt like it was going to knock me out of the tree. He goes back down to all fours and
Wow.
hauls ass across the power lines. Okay, now he's on the south side. And now he is talking, he's doing that gibberish, that oh yeah, 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 he's doing all that.
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
every 15 seconds he turns that same scream loose. He's ripping up gallberry bushes by the roots and chunking them out in the middle of the power line. I I made him mad. There was something that I did that he didn't like, and that triggered him. And he's
Yeah.
knocking trees down. He's not knocking like huge 300-year-old yellow pines down, but he's knocking small stuff down back there. And it basically sounded like a bush hog going through the woods is what it sounded like. And every now and then
Okay.
I'd see like a piece of his shoulder or a piece of his head, but he's going further north away from me. And by this time I'm
Okay.
standing up in my stand. I got my gun and I'm trying to find this guy. I'm like, holy shit, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. And at some
Oh yeah.
point, I want to say somewhere around on the north end of the power line, he pops back on my side, and it was so fast. It was just like a black blur. Just now he's on my side again, and he's yelling, screaming, doing everything, but he's gaining distance. He's on my side. I'm on the east side of the power line, but he's going north away from me. At this point, I can't see him, and then just everything stops. Everything stops and gets really quiet. I'm like, now is the time that I need to get out of my tree. But I kept, psyching myself out. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting down. No, I got to stay up. Mike, you got to get, no, I'm staying up. That went on for just a few minutes. And then all of a sudden I hear this like pronounced, like fresh tree break, like that green snap, crackle, pop. And it sounded to be about 200 yards away. When I heard that, I said, that's got to be him. I'm going down. I get down my tree, and now I'm running for my life on the power lines. I've got about, give or take, I've got 3/4 of a mile to get to my truck. Yeah, at least that. So I'm running down these power lines, and I keep, oh yeah, when as soon as I hit the power lines, it's like this thing knew I got out my stand, and he roared. And I'm looking behind me to see if I can
Ooh.
see him, and I cannot see him. And I'm running down these power lines, full adrenaline at this point. It just going, and
Uh-huh.
I wasn't in the best shape. I wasn't in the best shape back then. I was a little heavy back then. So, I got whooped after about
It's-
150 yards. I got whooped. And,
Oh yeah.
a fast run went to a very fast walk. And
You were running for your life.
yes,
Wow.
for sure. And then he screamed again, and I looked behind and I could not see him. But it sounded like he was gaining distance. He would scream, but it just kept sounding further and further away. And I'm sure it was just because I was running away from him and he was not pursuing me. So there was a point where I stopped and I heard something crash in the bushes next to me. East side of the power line, about 40 foot in the bushes, not far at all. I hear something crash. So I picked up my walk, and now I have something 40 feet from me in the woods, matching me step for step. I stop, it stops, and I knew it was something after the first couple times because when I would stop, it would take like that one extra step. So I knew something was
Oh
there.
man. Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't think Bigfoot. I thought this was maybe a some other animal running from this thing like I was doing. That's what I thought it was. And on this power line, on about halfway, I always call it the halfway point. There's like this little weird growth that comes out of the woods onto I always call it like the island. It's like a small little plateau, and it's got like a bunch of
Okay.
little pine tree saplings on it. That was like always a
Uh-huh.
marker for me. I'm either halfway to my stand or I'm halfway to my truck. I've always used that, and I seen it coming up, but it was still a good ways. So I
Hmm.
started running, and now this thing seems like it's closing in on me. Like the further I go, you know, it's it seems like whatever this is, it's going to intercept me when I get to this plateau, because the way the woods are shaped, this thing's going to have to reveal itself or it's going to have to go further in the woods to hide. And I'm telling you, Jessica, it got dramatic. Every now and then I can hear him
Whoa.
still back there screaming. And now I got something else closing in on me. And I got just about to the little plateau. And I'm telling you, it got so close to me. I can see the bushes moving, but I couldn't see it. And I had enough, and I just cracked a shot in the air. When I did that, everything stopped. Everything stopped. Um, I
Wow.
crossed the plateau, and I started, running again. And I no longer heard this thing paralleling me, and he shut up back there too. Um, I can remember cresting a huge hill, and seen my truck finally, still way down there. I could just see like the roof of my truck, and the sun is done
Um,
set. The sun is done set. I can still see, but I'm in nautical twilight, you know.
yeah.
And I seen my truck, and when I seen my truck, I caught another gear I didn't know I had, and before
Thank goodness.
yeah yeah before I knew it, I was at my truck, and I kept I was telling myself, get in your truck and get out of here. Don't stick around. Don't let curiosity get the best of you. This, that, and the other. And this road that I came in on was a very narrow little dirt road that I came in on. Um, like if there would have been another vehicle coming, the other person has to pull off in a ditch and let the other one pass. That's how
Yeah.
narrow it is.
Oh yeah.
Well, it had just got through raining a couple days before that, and there was like bad mud holes and stuff like that. This road makes a cul-de-sac. You drive about 2 miles down the road, and then you turn around and you have to pass back through. I wasn't doing that. There was no way I was going to pass back through there. So I backed my truck up in a ditch, and I just about got stuck. I mean, just about. It was that would have been lovely.
Hey, but Mike, at least you were in your truck. Okay. So I know how it feels. It feels so much better sometimes when you're having a lot of activity out in the field. There's Bigfoots everywhere. If I could just get into my truck sometimes, it's just the
Yeah.
safety and comfort of being inside a big metal vessel is way better
Yeah.
than being a sitting duck out there in the field. So I can only imagine the relief you found. And did you have your keys on you? I'm assuming. I would be so worried about my keys and thinking about all
No.
sorts of stuff as I was running.
No, I get to my truck, and I stuck my key to unlock my truck, and I heard another scream, but it was way, 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 way back there, and it was way different. It wasn't like a roar. It was weird. It was like a baboon screech, and at the end of it was like a crack of a whip. That's what it sounded like. That like somebody shot
Wow.
a gun, but it wasn't a gun. It was a scream.
Yeah. Wow.
It was
They
way
yeah,
different
they make
than the other
noises.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they make noises that it just doesn't seem humanly possible. Uh, I mean, we've had things scream at us that it sounds like a woman kind of, but it's not a human and it's not an animal, but it's like a mix between all of it. It's indescribable, really. It's hard to describe it, and I cannot imitate it in
They
any form or fashion.
when another thing I want to talk about is when he was talking, it sounded like he had a double set of vocal cords. It was him talking, but it sounded like two people talking over each other. That's what it
Wow.
sounded like.
Wow. Yeah. I've heard the Sierra sounds. Ron Moorhead and his buddy recorded back in the 70s, I think. And I've heard them personally screaming and talking and whooping and hollering, of course. Um, but it sounds like they call it samurai chatter. Okay,
Yeah.
and there's a reason for that because it sounds like archaic Japanese sometimes. There's all different types of dialects. R. Scott Nelson, who is buddies with Ron Moorhead, he deciphered all of those sounds from the Sierra sounds and found phonemes
Mhm.
and stuff. I mean, it was like they have their own language. It's literally a language
There's a lot of
that they
there's
have.
if you listen to all of the Sierra sounds, you can hear some broken English in there too, and you can hear some bad language in there too. You can hear some F bombs in there. You're muted.
I said, yeah, I'm sorry. I got my fan in here. I was wondering if they have southern accents or northern accents. What do you think? I'm
I think that
kidding.
I think they just have their own accent.
They do. I know. There's a little bit of northern and southern in there. Long Island
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
So I was making my way out of this area, and I'm pedal to the metal, man. I'm on. This is nothing but dirt roads getting in this place, and every left and right turn, the ass into my truck is swinging around. There's a couple times I almost went into a couple pine trees trying to get out of there, and I finally hit blacktop, and I'm on Highway 26, and I've got to pedal to the metal, man, and going as fast as my truck at the time would go. And I finally caught Highway 15 back to the Mississippi coast because I live in a city. I'm a you know
Okay.
I'm probably about an hour and 10 minutes away from where I live. And what used to take me an hour and 10 minutes took me about 45 minutes. Um, I live in town. I live in Biloxi. It's a casino town. It's metropolitan.
Oh
I
yeah.
live I live in a neighborhood. I've got neighbors up the butt. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
And I still was psyching myself out to get out of my truck, and I'm home.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I get
Wow.
home, and I can just remember I was getting really tired, and I threw my gun on my bed, and I jumped in the shower and just laid there in the fetal position, trying to make sense of what happened to me for about an hour. And I got out, and I could remember just crashing out, crashing. And I woke up the next day on the couch, and I was like, yeah, I thought it was a dream. I thought all that was a dream. And I got to my room, and I seen my gun on my bed. I was like, wow. And it did a lot to me uh, for for a long time, man. It was PTSD on top of PTSD for sure.
And you had spent several deployments over in the Middle East in the military, and so you had probably had PTSD from those experiences, and then you had this happen. Um, that had to have been a lot. How soon after you had returned from the Middle East did you have this encounter?
16 years later.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, I was gonna say that, I've seen the worst, Long Island Bigfoot can tell you the same thing. We've seen the worst of what the world's got to offer. Dead kids, dead mom and dad on the side of the road, bloated with maggots on them. I'm not gonna go any further than that, but
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
terrible.
it still didn't scare me like that did. Mhm.
Wow. Wow. And you saw something that's not supposed to exist. And that is
Yeah,
extremely traumatic for a lot of people. Seeing a monster basically in the 3D flesh and blood reality.
very robotic looking. the way he walked.
Wow.
Very, you know, and some people say that I had the jackpot encounter. I don't consider it that.
Yeah.
I consider it. It's a good thing I'm not dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You talk about it being robotic in nature, looking robotic. I have actually seen not only Sasquatch, but I've seen ETs up close, within feet of me, and they do not move like any kind of human or animal at all. They move differently, and it's hard to understand what you're looking at because it's nothing that your brain's familiar with. Um,
I'm
I do have
I'm
a
gonna send.
question in the chat. Oh, go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead. Do you want me to do the question
Oh,
first?
yeah. Go ahead.
Wild Ascension asks, were there any fresh animal carcasses nearby that morning when you
No,
had your encounter?
no, not that
Okay.
morning. But I
Okay.
tell you what, they've always been around, and I just didn't know what it was. I tell you what, it is. I've heard the whoops my whole life, and I just never knew what that was. Once I heard the Moorhead whoops and whoops off of
Hmm.
other encounters and stuff like that, I've heard that a bunch, and I just never knew what it was. I thought it was like some weird nocturnal bird because I'd usually either hear it right before dark or I would hear it right before the sun comes up when I on hunts.
Wow.
And and
Yeah.
the tree knocks, I've heard that my whole life, and I've always blamed that on either somebody else in the woods or I'm closer to somebody's property than I think I am. But I've heard
Oh
beating
yeah.
on trees my whole life, for sure.
Wow. I mean, you got to think about all the times, but when you're unaware of what's really out there, you chalk it up to being something that you can rationalize, like, oh, it's just a woodpecker. What is it? The 800-pound owl out there hooting and hollering. you know, it's it's and unless you know what to listen for and accept the idea that potentially Bigfoots even exist, your rational brain kicks in, and you always have an excuse. That's what the majority of the population does. They rationalize it as to being something that they're familiar with.
You know, even the barred owl, I've heard that before too, and I thought it was somebody trying to imitate it because they don't finish the trill. They don't finish the.
Oh
It just
yeah,
sounds like, yeah, it just sounds like somebody's
yeah.
just trying to. And there was another situation, and I just started talking about this, that happened about 10 years before my encounter. I was deer hunting one time, and there was this deer that I was after him, and I watched this deer, grow for like 3 years. Like the first year, he was like a little small 6 point. Second year, he was like a little basket rack 8 point, and then the third year, he was a nice big mature 9 point. And I'm telling you, man, I put a lot of money into this guy, man, and I killed this guy. I watched this. I shot him dead, and I watched him flip over on his back and kick himself limp. And I was sitting there looking at him through the scope for about 15 minutes. Sure enough, dead. Eyes open, everything. I called people on the phone. I'm like, man, you got to come help me drag because I didn't have my deer cart that day. And yeah, man, I can't believe I never talk about this, but it's makes a lot of sense now. So, I didn't rush down my tree. It wasn't even close to dark yet. I killed this deer like 30 minutes after I got up the tree. And I could see him. It was thick in there where I killed him, but once you're up in a tree, you can see real good. When you get down on the ground, all the stuff's like up over your head. You just got to make your way to it. And I said, I finally said, I'm gonna go check this thing out. And I get over there, and there's like a huge pile of blood, huge, just where he was laying, and he was gone,
Whoa.
gone.
Oh,
And
it stole your deer.
so
Whoa.
it had to been. Um, you know, I know how I know. I'm a good tracker. You know, I've tracked deer my whole life, and you know, I learned how to track in
Yeah.
the military too. And I was on my hands and knees looking for any little pin drop after that. You know, I had a
Yeah.
team of people out there with me, like 6 people, and we combed the area. The only blood was in that spot where he laid and died. It's almost like somebody took like a big piece of plastic, wrapped this thing up, and walked it out to where it wouldn't drip no blood. That's a true
Wow.
story.
Oh yeah. Wow. We have Flat Rock in the chat today. Hey, Flat Rock. It's good to see you here. He says he personally considers seeing these critters the worst thing to ever happen to me and my family. That's really that's tough. That's really tough, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. Flat Rock, um, and Mike.
Flat
So
rock.
yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say Flat Rock's my buddy.
Oh yeah, I love me some Flat Rock. Yes. So Mike, you have your the way you look at this. It's very similar to Flat Rock, right? It wasn't a good experience, and
No,
yeah,
I think now that I've had time to try to decipher, I think this is what happened, and I think that they were doing the same thing I was doing. I think they were hunting. I think I got there before they got there, and he didn't like it, and
yeah,
he showed me that I wasn't the big guy, he's the big guy. And I think when he was talking to the other one that led me out of there. But I definitely do think I was spared.
yes. If they wanted to kill you, they would have killed you. There's
Yes.
there it's just the sheer size of them and the agility and intelligence. You know, they would have had one on you, but they chased you out. They chose to chase you out of there. Even after you put your sight on them and everything. So there's got to be some respect there, I guess. I mean, you had mutual respect for each other in the end.
Do you remember when I was telling you like his facial expressions?
Yes.
Like he didn't know what he was looking at, but he was also
Yes.
giving me facial expressions like he was disgusted at what he was looking at.
Yeah.
You know, like when a human sees like something that they don't like, that's disgusting, that makes them, that's the look he like almost pissed off, but more like disgusted looking. That's what I got out
Yeah.
of it. but
Wow.
but cur but curious too.
Curious. Well, at least he spared you that day and you spared him. Maybe he spared you because you spared him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
the mutual
with
respect.
as close as I was in the caliber gun that I had, I mean, I could have blew the top of his head off. There's no doubt about it. But I wasn't educated back then. I'm glad I didn't do what I did, because there could have been a whole troop in there, and if I would have killed this
Yeah.
thing, they would probably rip me to pieces.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what you thought would have happened had you shot him. And you
Well,
answered me already.
I, I think they would have probably pulled all my limbs off,
Yeah.
or probably
Yeah.
twisted my head around a couple times. That's what I think.
Oof. Yeah. Well, they've been known to do that, and I know not every Bigfoot is sunshine and rainbows. Okay, and that's just the harsh reality of it. They will hurt you, and so yeah, I don't recommend that everybody gets out in the woods to go Bigfooting. Okay, unless you're with some very seasoned. I want to say professionals. Not that anybody's really a professional, but um, but just hunters and trackers and people that know how to protect you, and you can know how to protect yourself out in the woods. Yeah. Wow, this is just a an amazing story. I mean, do you have advice for people that I want to say, do you have any advice for people that are out in the woods and have an encounter like this? What would you tell somebody if they had an encounter?
My advice would be two things: don't look them in the face because they don't like it, um, and don't engage them, because you're asking for a lot of trouble. I would say if one comes through or something, just act like he's not there, and hope to God he walks through. Don't look at him, because when I looked at him in his face a couple times, you could tell he didn't like it. And I've
Oh
heard
my
that,
gosh.
after my encounter, I've heard that it's like a show of disrespect to them to look them dead in the eyes.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's actually good advice. From coming from someone who's been there and knows, and you got the vibe off of it, and you are a
Hmm.
lucky man. You're a lucky man to be
I
alive
would.
right now, and
Yep.
yeah, and I'm proud of you for telling
I
your
don't.
story and coming forward.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not the end of the world. I still hunt. Believe it or not, it took me a couple years to get back in the woods, but
Yeah,
I can't get
yeah.
I can't get in there remote anymore like that. I can't get like, Jessica, that was like 3/4 of a mile from my truck. In the past, I've
Oh,
went in 3 or 4
oh yeah.
miles before. It's just not. And
Wow.
if I got a group of people with me and we're doing like research or something like that, I'll do it then. But I can't
Yeah,
do it anymore by myself. Maybe 100 yards
yeah.
from my truck. That's it. That's all I can do.
Well, one of the number one rules that my teams have, we do not go in the woods alone, and we always have a way to protect ourselves in some way, shape, or form, and we always let somebody know where we're going too. We never go anywhere without like a spot device or something to call for help, or um, our ham radios or something. We never do that because we know how dangerous it is, and so
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know you feel the same. So
yeah, yeah.
don't go alone.
When it comes to like this 411 missing stuff, I wouldn't blame it all on Sasquatch, but I'm sure maybe some of the rogue ones might have something to do with it. The bad, because
Oh yeah,
there's
yeah.
good and bad and everything. I don't think they're bad. I think they're people just like we are. I think, just like we have evil bad people, there might be evil bad Sasquatch out there. And it could be
Oh yeah.
another thing. re- these kids that are coming up missing in these state parks, I think a lot of that can have do with portals. It's not all Sasquatch related, I don't believe.
No, I think there's a very small percentage would be Sasquatch compared to all the other craziness that's out there. I do believe. Here's Greg. Greg goes out with my team. Yeah, never go out alone. He knows better. We all know better to do that now. But yeah, it's. I forgot what I was saying. Sorry, I had one of those brain farts at the end of
Uh,
the show. Um, yeah. Oh, portals. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Because I saw Greg and I thought of the portal because he goes out with my team where we encountered that portal. I think I mentioned it to you before the show today. But I think Sasquatch is a small percentage of the people that are going missing, but I think that they can contribute to that. But
mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you have an open mind about all this. That's why I really appreciate your open mind to things other than Sasquatch. First of all, just being flesh and bone. Like, what do you think about Sasquatch being just flesh and bone? Do you think that they may have some supernatural abilities as well?
Um, I think, just from what I can gather, I think that if there's a missing link, that's probably it. Um, I would say they're a human hybrid of some sort. Either they're part
Yeah.
of us or we're part of them, for sure. Um,
Oh, I like.
I
Yeah,
think I,
I
I
agree.
think they're an- I think they're ancient. I think there's a possibility that they've been around longer than we have. Because
Yeah.
that's another thing. I he did look human in the face, but not 100%. I got more like Neanderthal or more like Clovis people kind of.
Okay.
But then again,
Okay.
very very high cheekbones, more Native American too that I seen in there.
Oh wow! So it's like a really interesting mix, and with those DNA studies that Melba Ketchum did, I believe that they came back that it's partly human. They have partly human
Hmm.
DNA, like half human, half other. We just don't know what that other is because there's nothing to
I,
compare it to.
I would love to
Yeah.
dig Melba's brain. I would
Oh
love to do
right,
that.
me too. Yeah, me too.
But
That would be a
but
great
but
show.
but she's fighting a good fight for us.
She is, and for the Bigfoots. Yeah.
Yep.
I think
Absolutely.
so too. She gets a lot of people that are putting, like, really trying to put real information out there, real data, real experiences. They get attacked, and people try to destroy those types of people, and make them uncredible or discredit them, and it's really a shame. It really kind of shows you who the real ones are in the field, and who the not so real ones are in the field. Let's just say, yeah. So I've got a little experience with that. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, absolutely I do. Mike, this has been amazing. I have really, really enjoyed having you on here today. And I know my audience has too. Where can people find you? I am unfortunately we've already hit the hour mark. And so I can't believe how fast this went by. But where
It
can people
went by
find you?
fast.
It did.
You can go to YouTube. It's Red Creek Mafia 777. The three sevens, that's biblical. You can go to Twitter, Red Creek Mafia just 7. You can go Instagram,
Okay.
Red Creek Mafia 777, or Facebook, Mike Bleuler, Bleuler. Or you
Mike
can go
Bleuler.
to,
Yeah. I
yep.
was worried I was
Uh,
mispronouncing your name. So
no, you
I'm
said it
like,
right.
I said
Or
it
you can,
right. Okay.
me, I have a I have a Bigfoot page on Facebook. I'm in Facebook jail right now, guys, so I can't do anything.
Oh my
But,
gosh. I
but
know a lot of
anyways,
those. You're another inmate in the Facebook jail.
uh-huh. But
That's
I do have
funny.
a Bigfoot page. It's me and Roger Williams. It's called Mafia in the Holler. That's our Bigfoot page on Facebook, and that's
Okay.
about it.
Mafia in the holler. That doesn't get more country than that. I love it. We got hollers here
No,
in Georgia too. And yeah, we got a booger holler up here in Rome, Georgia. Booger holler. What imagine what's in that holler. Boogers are Bigfoots usually, right? So I'd steer clear there if I was the general public, is all I'm saying.
yeah.
But yeah, unless you're super adventurous, but just don't go alone, y'all. Okay, don't ever go alone. And so yeah, Mike, I love this. Please come back and hang out with me again sometime. And
Yeah, I want you on my show too.
shoot, yeah, I'd be glad to come on anytime. And yeah, we'll make it happen for sure. And you've had some fantastic guests. I highly recommend everybody go over to Red Creek Mafia on YouTube and please subscribe. He you did like a 4.5 hour show with Kumbo Baker the other day. I was like, that was like his
Oh God,
longest marathon interview. It was awesome
that's
though. It was so great.
that
That was a
felt
long
that
one.
felt that felt like I worked manual labor for 16 hours on a construction site.
Oh my gosh, it was classic. It was classic. He's got so much information. It was well worth it. Absolutely.
He's the
But that was a
he's
long
the
one.
best.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Totally. Yeah, you have a lot of great people. Your guest last night too was top notch, man. I am so digging it. I'm so digging it. But
Mr.
okay,
Don.
Mr. Don, he was awesome. He was awesome. Okay,
I,
well my audit. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to yell out to Mikey Mike, hey man, I love you too, brother. That's it.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here today. Everybody in the chat, in the live chat, you guys put out some wonderful comments and some had some great points, and I really appreciate it. And thank you to all my moderators who were here. You guys, please join me again here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. I have my friend Sean Bond with Psionic League on YouTube. He's coming on. He's a remote viewer and just an amazing human. He's going to come on with me. We're going to talk about some cryptids tomorrow night. And also, y'all come. Actually, no, I'm not going to be at Space Out Radio this weekend. We got the weekend off. Okay, so just tomorrow night, y'all come get your fix. 8 p.m. Eastern here at the Cryptid Huntress, and also go hang out with Mike at Red Creek Mafia. When is your next show? Do you do lives every night, Mike, or
No,
like how often?
well, I was doing my shows back when Roger was co-hosting with me a lot. He's got his own channel now.
Okay,
His is called Squatch and Holler. I'd like to
Squash and
promote
Holler. He
that.
was in the chat earlier. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
He was
perfect.
helping me when and I used to do shows every Wednesday and Thursday, and work changed work changed for me, so I went to Sundays and Mondays, and I couldn't do anything this Sunday. So, and I did something yesterday, Tuesday. It's kind of hit
Oh,
and
there's
miss right
Squatch and
now.
Holler.
Yeah, that's Roger.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Roger Williams.
There's Roger. Hey, Roger. Thank you for being here. Yeah. I love your name, Squatch and Holler. My cousin has an Instagram. It's called Holler Moon. Actually, he's an artist. Y'all go check him out. He does Bigfoot art. Okay. So, all right. Amazing. All right. Well, we're gonna come hang out with you in your chat. Everybody, like I said, y'all go subscribe. And Mike, have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. And everybody in the chat, you guys have a great holiday. If I don't see y'all again, and otherwise, I will see y'all back here tomorrow night. Bye, y'all. Bye, Mike.